Let's talk about Johnson & Johnson. As I said, the government has decided not to back the one-dose vaccine. The US, the EU, South Africa coming out overnight doing the same. Is that the right decision?
Oh, look, in Australia, it makes total sense because essentially it's based on the same technology as the AstraZeneca vaccine. And look, if there is an issue about us having to restrict the group that we need to restrict it to, which is, say, over 50s because of this condition, we've got heaps of the AstraZeneca, so we don't need the Johnson & Johnson. So essentially that's a really simple decision that you don't need to go down that line. So as far as that's concerned, that kind of makes sense.
The government has also abandoned targets and setting timeframes for when Australians might be able to at least receive their first dose. Do you support that, or do Australians have the right to know when they'll be vaccinated?
Oh, look, I think this is very interesting from my perspective. I kind of got to see inside behind this. Initially, these were targets for planning, but they became somehow promises along the way. And I didn't think that was probably the best idea, because to some degrees, these promises were actually made even before the vaccines were approved, and we knew there'd be supply problems from overseas. But what it's done is actually come the fact that, in fact, the real problem at the moment is supply. It's supply of vaccines. Now, the thing is everybody's going, well, we're not getting that many out there, but part of it's just we haven't been able to get the supply. And if you really look at that, that's occurring in every country that's done well. And people are going, oh, New Zealand, they're so fantastic. They've ordered so many Pfizers to cover their population. Well, as you actually look at the numbers, they've done very little vaccination, 100,000, I think, which is really terrible. And they're having the same debates over there because it's the supply issue which is the thing. And that, unfortunately, is the limiting factor in Australia. Now, we're in a great position because we're going to make the AstraZeneca, which actually still turn out to be a great decision.
But is it a great decision, though, at this stage? Under 50s, the advice is don't have the vaccine.
Oh, look, but let's stand back and look at this. The AstraZeneca vaccine is a very safe and effective vaccine, particularly in the over 50s. We know the over 50s are most likely to die from COVID or get severe disease. We also know they're the less likely to get this strange allergic reaction, which is occurring in about 1 in 250,000. Now, the thing about it is that we need to vaccinate that population, and that's that's the highest risk population for us, and we will have guaranteed supply as long as CSL can get going with their supply. So if we can get that population vaccinated, we'll actually be in a really safe place, and then we can slowly potter through with the Pfizers with the under 50s as it comes on. But the problem with the Pfizer, which I think everybody doesn't really get perspective on, is that all the countries that are really needing it, like Europe and overseas, are just keeping it, and the supplies to us are only going to be steady at the moment. But that group is still less risk than the over 50s, because age is the single biggest risk factor for severe disease and dying from COVID.